loud noises. Everything else that we're afraid of in our life, which is a lot, we're afraid of a lot of things. We have learned to be afraid of by people that love us most. The people that wanted the most for our life, the people that wanted your highest potential, the most that you could ever wish for, your mother, your father, your grandparents, your siblings, all these people that loved you the most and wanted the best for you, taught you to be afraid of everything else you're afraid of. Because you were only born with two. Isn't that interesting? And you know how we learn that? By observing and listening and just not realizing that we're writing our programs to how we think, right? And someone said, oh my God, don't do that. And what they were really afraid of is like, I would just, I would be so just heartbroken if something happened to you because you went in the street. So we're teaching you to be afraid of going in the street. We're teaching you to be afraid of spiders. We're teaching you to be afraid of this and that and everything else. And so we grow up to be adults that are motivated by fear. And we're not motivated by faith, right? We're not motivated that when we trust and we just love and we do these things that good things happen. It's like, no, we're motivated by, we got to get the bills paid so the lights don't get shut off. We're motivated by the fear. And when we start going through life and we start looking for things that are wrong, like it's interesting, what's wrong? We're looking for everything that's wrong. It's like, well, why don't we just look for what's right? Why don't we look for, some faith and stuff? And so, habits, the 10 habits of highly successful agents. Well, now that I've told the whole story, like we have one slide, and yet how many stories have we told? Like how much thinking have we done already? And we're one slide in. We haven't even we're like on the cover, right? So the 10 habits of highly successful agents, there's a lot in there. So we're going to learn the 10 habits. As I click. There you go. Try to get a little closer. So what does a habit mean? And I looked up the definition. We talked about some things that it mean, but it said a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. And I think we kind of all agreed with that. It's something that just like kind of happens automatically without putting a lot of effort into its thing. It just kind of happens, right? So what if we had a habit, like what if we had a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that's hard to give up, around some like non-negotiable agreement called we make $1 million a month? It was just non-negotiable. That's just what we do.
Just like I can't hear you. My drunk monkey is screaming.
Yeah, I'll bet. Because what he said was, not
say?
you. He meant someone else.
Yeah.
And yet, are there people on the island making $1 million a month? There's a bunch of them. I just drove past their planes. Right? I mean, it was girl. I'm like, look at those private jets over there as we're taxiing away. And there's a whole other life, by the way, that I don't even know about. I don't even know that life. Who are these people? And they, and right next to the private jets is what? A bunch of helicopters. Why? Because they can't be bothered with having to get in a car and go over to their, man, just like, no, all the way to, all the way to Kanapali or whatever. No way to take the helicopter. Like, we got to go up and over the mountain. It'll be great. It's a whole nother life, right? And yet, if Michael Jordan, only made $1 million a month, he'd probably jump off one of these bridges. So, it's a whole nother way of thinking. Like, he just believes that he deserves it. He just believes that that's non-negotiable for him. $12 million a year, that's non-negotiable. Right? I'm making $50 and $100 million a year. Like, 12 is non-negotiable. So what does a habit mean? Well, today we're going to go into a study that was done with the top mega agents in the company. And what they studied was, what are the things that they do habitually that created their success? What are the things that we can learn from? Because people have walked before us. There's people that are more successful in different areas of our life. And specifically in business, what is it the people that are most successful do habitually? Do it without thinking. It's just ingrained in them. It's a tendency or practice, especially one that's hard to give up. Gary Keller says he still lead generates. He still lead generates every day. Like, what is that? You still lead generate? It's like, yeah, he just lead generates for a higher dollar per hour activity than we do, right? We might be lead generating for a buyer, and he's lead generating for a franchisee, or he's lead generating for, a company to take over. It's amazing how he's just been able to scale that through his thinking. So if you guys are familiar with the one thing, there's 7 circles. How many of you guys have read the book? All of you? Okay. And those of you that didn't are familiar with it. So there's the 7 areas of focus in the one thing, and I think this pretty much encapsulates what our life is all about. And at the top of the book, the publisher really wanted him to move the spiritual life away and kind of put something else different. He really stuck to that. He tells the story. He goes, no. He goes, I think that's first. I think it's God, family, then business. So spiritual life's going to come first. Here's the way that I teach it. This is just my own personal belief, but the reason why that comes first, and whether you believe in something or not, the one thing for your spiritual life is knowing I am. That's what I describe it as. So knowing I am. And the two most powerful words in the human language are I am. Whatever comes after that is pretty powerful. When you're meditating on that, praying on that, whatever you want to call it, when you're knowing I am, you start to tap into some truths about your life, about who you are. And there was a really incredible self-improvement book that was written a few thousand years ago, and it says that this ultimate creator of the entire universe is the I am. I am the I am. And so to know I am would be to know I am. It gets really deep. So if anybody ever asks you that and you're not really sure where they stand, it's like, hey, that's just knowing I am. And like, what's that mean? Like, go and meditate. Go find out who I am. And you'll find some stuff in there. But we're not here to judge, we're not here to tell, because we know it's just true that when you put that first, when you focus on knowing I am, things just fall into place. And there's all kinds of cool and current books about meditation and just like focused thinking and stuff and kind of looking inward. That's all cool too. I think if you do those practices, you're going to tap into something that will help you discover some really cool things about life. But why I put this up here is because I believe that when it comes to creating habits, when it comes to determining our goals for our life, there's two areas that we don't get to determine. It's kind of like I said, one of those laws. There's two areas here that are not yours to decide what it is that needs to be done. And the two areas are first the spiritual life, and that's what I said. I go, it's not up to us to decide how that works. We're not the authority around that, but I do encourage you to go know I am. Go and meditate, look within, and start discovering that. And you're not the determiner of how that part works. And the more you kind of meditate on that, the more you'll realize it. The more you read about that, the more you'll realize that. There's one other category here that, in my opinion, you're not the determiner of. It's a set amount of things. It's a set thing, and you do not get to objectively just kind of twist it around and set the goals. What do you think it is? So we got physical health and finances, business, job, relationships. What do you think the one is that I'll tell you is just, you don't get to determine what it is. It just is what it is.
Do you want to read through those for us?
Yeah, I'll read through it. So
I can't
physical, so this one here is our physical health.
Okay.
So spirituality at the top, my physical health, my finances, my business, my personal life, my key relationships, my job. And it says, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? And I will tell you that that one thing here is not up to us to decide. This is about knowing I am. That's what the one thing is. Go and know that. And the more that you seek that, the more that things will just fall into place. Right? There was a philosopher that, that said, and again, I try to be careful with this stuff, but I just believe what I believe. And when Jesus was walking the earth, he said, he criticized the Pharisees, the guys who knew everything, and he hung out with lepers and he hung out with tax collectors and stuff. And what he was really looking for, he said, these people know me, they're seeking me. So to seek is what it means to be a follower. It's just to try to learn more about it. It's not to like, oh, I know everything. So the good news is, if you want to learn more about that, you don't need to know everything. It's just about seeking. But there's one other area. So which one do you guys think I believe is not? It's not up to you to determine.
I don't know, but I'm going to guess personal.
Yeah, I was going to say personal life.
Well, do you get to decide what your personal life is going to look like? Is that yours?
Yeah.
I think you do.
Yeah,
I think you do. So God gave us control over one thing in this world. We think we get to control a lot of things, but there's only one thing that we get to control. And it was kind of like a gift, and it was kind of a curse. And it was decisions. It was our choices. We get free will. That's it. It's the only thing we control in this universe, and is our choices. It's not how you react to me. It's how I react back that I can control. If you get up here and slap me in the face and walk out, I can't control that. But what I can control is how I react to that. Right? It's the one thing I can control, are my choices. And so, yeah, I think you can choose that. I think we are in choice of our health. I think it's up to us to decide those things. The one that I believe that is not yours is the job. And why is that? Well, because your business goals, like I almost think like this one shouldn't be there, it should be over here. We don't determine what our job is. What we determine is what our business is. And so what is the purpose of a business? What does a business do? Not what we think it does, but what is it actually intended to do?
Facilitate your financial life.
It is. Well, what it is there's only one purpose of a business.
To profit.
Profit. That's it. That's it. Businesses create profit. Now, profit funds our life by design, right? We've got this priceless life that we should be living. This life that like gives us contentment and fulfillment, and all these things that make our life worth living and legacy. That's what the profit funds. Now, if you're like, we came here last year with our kids during Christmas time, and we brought our 4 kids, and my wife's telling, she's like, yeah, this is the life for me. Like, we need to move here. I'm like, babe, like, it's a small island, you know, like, you want me to work at Costco? And she's like, yep, I'm good. Like, that's cool. Like, I'll come here, we'll work at Costco. Like, I'm good. Like, I can live here. Flip-flops and sundresses, yes. Like, what? So we'd have a lot less money. What do we need money for? Save up and go to Hawaii? Like, we're here. Like, this is paradise. This is awesome.
Your drunk
right?
monkey took right over.
Oh, yeah, I jumped right in there. I'm like, no, we can't do that. Right? So what we do, and if $1,000 a month will fund your life by design, God bless you. You know, we're in the airport the other day, and I saw some monks walking by, and they're wearing robes. And those monks probably live on less than even that $1,000 a month, right? And they're probably very fulfilled. That's great. However, your business is intended to create profit. So when I get into business, I'm determining how much profit I need to fund my life by design. And if I haven't identified what my life by design is, how will I ever know what funding it needs? How can I really set a goal for what it's intended to do if I don't know what it's supposed to do, right? That's like saying I'm going to go buy a car today. And you're like, well, how much money do you have? I'm like, I don't know, I've got some, but I'm going to go buy a car. Well, what kind of car do you want? I don't know, a great car. You know, the best car. A car worth driving. And you're like, well, that could be a lot. Like, you could get a Tesla for $150,000, or you could get like a Kia for like $30,000. There's a lot there. And I'm like, I want the best life. I want the best car and all that. I'm like, well, you better find out. You better determine what kind of car you want, because you're going to need to know with how much money you need to bring. It's going to determine your payment or how much cash you're giving, all those things. That's our life. What kind of life do I want to live? Have we designed that? Have we had these conversations? Once we design our life, then we have a business goal. And a business is for the purpose of profit, and profit that funds our life by design. So if you're in business for any other reason than profit, you're doing it wrong. You're not doing it right. And that's probably why you're not having success. I talked to a girl yesterday when I was teaching at the Oahu office, and she was saying, she was at the end of it, it was just a little coaching moment, right? And I'll share without saying her name. But she's like, I love you referencing these books. And she's like, I'm a big learner. I read all kinds of books. I watch all kinds of podcasts. I do all this stuff. And she's like, honestly, I'm just learning too much. Like, just learning too much. I'm reading too many books. I'm like, how, tell me more. How is it that is it really about learning too much? Can you really learn too much? Can you really have read too much? And she's like, well, I don't know, I guess not. I'm like, so can you really know too much? Like, having too much money. Anybody who says they have too much money doesn't understand what money does. Because money's forgiving. Money's good for the good that it does. And if you have too much money, it's because you didn't learn its intention. And you should be transforming lives through money, right? If you got $1 billion, you don't have too much money. You have power. Open up some orphanages in Africa. Do some schools for girls in countries that don't let girls learn. And so, do amazing things to transform the world if you have too much money. That's a tool, right? She's like, yeah, I'm learning too much. Well, what it was really about when we were kind of diving into that, because I'm challenging the words and getting her to think differently, what it was really about, it wasn't learning too much, it was learning so much and not implementing very little, right? It was more about implementation. I don't think you can ever learn too much. However, it can create a gap and like this feeling of anxiety when you're not implementing all these things will work. Well,
E to P.
Yep, E to P, right? So our business goal, we determine this goal, but here's the thing. Once we've determined what a business goal is, the job is just a mathematical equation. That's all the job is. The job is a list of activities. You do this, you get this. You do this, you get this. Right? It's a model and system. We teach these things all the time in Ignite. We teach in business planning. And we say, great, there's a mathematical equation. There's There's a system that works for this. If you want this, this is what you do. Here's the job. And so the job is like this thing. I'm like, here's the job. It's my job. I'm hiring. You do this, it pays this. Do you want it? And you take it. Now, if you don't do your job, what do? I take the job back, fire you. I'm like, give me that job back. You're not doing your job. Don't sign that check unless you're going to do the job. Every time you endorse that check, if you haven't done your job, shame on you. This is the job. And if you don't like it, don't take it. But if you take it, do the job. Right? Well, that's the job. And why we're not successful as real estate agents is because we don't make that distinction. Every other business in the world does. If I show up to my job across the street at the mall, and I'm paid to be a cashier at the mall, and my boss comes in and my register's open, and there's a line of customers standing around, and I'm in the back like fixing the clothes and stuff, and I'm like, I'm working. You're like, dude, that's not your job. What the hell are you doing? Get up to the cash register. We're not making money. And if I did that twice, I'm probably getting written up, if not fired. No more than 3 times do I get caught. Not doing my job. That's not your job. Next time, next day he comes in, I'm like mopping the floor. I'm like, this was more fun. So what the hell are you doing? Get to the damn cash register. That's your job. Dude, I'm going to fire you if you catch you away again. Right? Do your job. And we come in here and we don't do our job as business people. Why? Because we got into business to be our own boss. And what that really means is that we didn't want to be accountable. We didn't want to do our job. We didn't like it when we had a boss because he told us that, hey, the job starts at 8 and it ends at 5. And we didn't like that. We wanted to come in at 10. And we wanted to leave at 3. And we wanted to goof around all day long, be on Facebook and be posting and all these things, right? We didn't want to do our job. So we got into a world where we were our own boss. Oh yeah, I like being my own boss. So great. Because I get to do what I want. Hey boss, can I go home? Yep. Hey boss, can I not do my job? Yep. Am I in trouble? Nope. It's like, I love being my own boss. This is great. We're not accountable to our job. So much so that we literally have ignored it so much that most real estate agents don't even know what their job is. They don't even know what their job is. It's like me working. If my boss let me work there long enough, 3 years from now, it comes in and like, so what's your job? I'm like, I just kind of come in when I want, find stuff to do. Sometimes clothes are out of place. Sometimes, I don't know, like I help customers. Sometimes I mop. Just everything. I'm a jack of all trades. Like I don't even know my job anymore. Why? Because my boss let me get so far away. I don't even know what it is anymore. So what's your job?
Lead generation.
Well, show me lead generation. What's a lead generation? I don't know what that word is. What is a lead generation? Explain it to me as if I'm a first grader. I've never heard it before. What is a lead generation?
Interesting.
Finding business. Calling.
It's calling?
Connecting. Finding business. For me,
Talking
finding
to
business.
20 people every
Are those
day
question marks? We're
about
using
real
upswings
estate.
on that.
Finding business.
Finding business. What's business?
Asking
Somewhere I can make
questions.
money.
Somewhere I can make money. So anywhere I can make money. Like just find a need, go into the store and just start moving clothes around. Just like,
Reaching out for opportunity.
oh, there's a
Having
word. I like that word.
That's a nice one.
I like that word. That's the word. You actually just landed on it. That's the word I want is opportunity.
Two-way conversations about
Well,
real estate.
Those are activities in my job. So if I said, yeah,
That's not lead generation.
well, here's where I'm going with that. If I said my job is to work the mall, and you go, well, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I get up and I get dressed and I drive to the mall. And you're like, well, doesn't everybody drive to work? Well, like, yeah, but that's part of my job. It's like, those are parts of the job. So yes, that's part of your job, and yet they're like the everything else part. It's like, well, when I get to the
it's
store,
part of it. I mean,
yeah.
you can't define lead generation in one.
Well, I
simple
think you can.
sentence,
I think
really.
you can. So
Really?
how many transactions did this office close last year? Keller Williams. How many Keller Williams transactions were on the island last year? Take a guess. Take a guess.
Transactions being
Units.
3,000.
3,000. Okay, 3,000 units sold by Keller Williams.
I'm
Right.
guessing.
When in reality, Keller Williams didn't sell one house last year. Keller Williams didn't sell one home. Now you think there was 3,000, but the reason why you think there's 3,000 is because if we went down the line and said what actually happened is a bunch of individual agents got up every day and they worked hard and they listed homes and they sold the homes and they all worked for Keller Williams, and because there was 3,000 transactions among 1,000 agents, we just call them all Keller Williams as like a plural word, right? We just say Keller Williams sold 3,000
Was that a
units.
trick question?
It's not a trick question, but oftentimes people don't know the answer.
Oh.
So it does set me up well to prove my point, but it's not a trick question. I think it's It's just when we really look at it, you go, yeah, that's right, Keller Williams didn't sell any homes last year. You sold a home, you sold a home, you sold a home, but we don't want to say all your names. So lead generation is like this plural word that we call these activities that are identifying, we're creating opportunities. What is a lead? A lead is an opportunity, right? Now, just because I have an opportunity, do I take advantage of it? Not necessarily. But what we're doing when we're lead generating is we're identifying the opportunity. We're manifesting it. We're actually creating it. We're saying, who in this room, who in this room would like this thing? Like if I said, which one of you guys, would like to win a free car? And you raise your hand, you're like, I need a new car. I'm identifying the opportunities in this room. Which one of you guys maybe wants to buy it? And you're like, yeah. If I could give you a really great deal on a house, which one would you? Like, yeah, me. Only half of you guys raise your room. Those are the opportunities to sell a house. And if over here I said, hey, I've got this coupon right here, and it's like a free massage at the spa, but our plane leaves, and like, who wants it? It's a free day at the spa. Nails, massage, everything, like, whole 8-hour day, who wants to go? And then this side of the room, they're like, oh, I'll go. I'm like, oh, there's my opportunities. I'm identifying opportunities. So what is the opportunity that we're looking for? Because we're making the distinction. We've gotten so far away from our job. How do we make money in this business? How do we actually make money? We've forgotten. It's easy. We make money when commissions, we have contracts for close. We collect the commission at the closing, right? We don't make money for showing up. We don't make money for, we make money when transactions close. And so what we're doing is we're identifying opportunities to do the most dollar productive thing in this industry. The most dollar productive activity per hour is signing contracts. Because without a contract, you don't have a job. Right? What do they call those guys in sports, like athletes and stuff, when they don't have a contract? What do they call them?
Free agents.
Free agents. So when they don't have a contract, they're called free agents. What do we call real estate agents that don't have a contract?
Unemployed. Broke.
Free agents. If you guys don't have a purchase agreement or a listing agreement signed right now, you are a free agent. You are unemployed. You don't have a contract.
Hired.
That's it. And in the sickness that we sign up for is that we're like, in fact, I'll get into this, but there was a study done, and in a real estate transaction, end to end, there's only 48 billable hours in a real estate transaction. 48 billable hours. So there's only 48 hours worth of work. And I'm going to break it down for you guys later, so I won't get into it. But at 48 billable hours, every time I get a job, I go on a job interview. I'm like, babe, I got the job. And she's like, that's amazing. I'm like, yep, it's 1 week's worth of work. 48 hours. Babe, we got 4 kids. What the heck are you going to do with 1 week's worth of work? Well, in a week, I can go on other job interviews. And hopefully I get that job. And you're like, wait a minute, you're in an industry where you literally have to have a job interview to get 1 week's worth of work forever? I'm like, yes. Like, that's our industry. There's 48. The only difference is that 48 hours is billable over weeks and sometimes months. So instead of working full-time, I got the job. It lasts for 3 months or 2 months, and it's part-time.
So that is such an incredible truth, and I think
It's
I know
true.
where you're going, because I agree, we have to look through that lens and understand that truth,
Yeah.
because that's what feeds into.
Yeah. So when I want habits that kind of feed that thing, like I want some things on autopilot, man, that just, what if jobs just came to me each week? And I'm like, okay, well, even though I'm getting a new job, it's like they're starting to feed me because I've got the habits that, that just create the gravity. I call it gravity because when you got gravity, things just kind of roll to, it's like it sucks things in, right? When you've got gravity around your database, when you got gravity around your story and your marketing, deals just kind of come to you because you got gravity. It's flowing in, right? It's like Jupiter, man. It just sucks it. It's like the garbage disposal of the galaxy, man. It just sucks everything in because all that gravity, or the sun, right, keeps us safe. So the job is a list of activities that's just a mathematical equation to feed your business. You don't get to determine what the activities are. They just exist. They're just truths. Right? This is how many people have to go in your database. At a 10% return, you'll have to meet this many people and put them on a 33 touch in order to create the amount of referrals it will take you to make the money that you need to make in this business. That's the law of averages. And if your results may vary, then we need to track your numbers so that we can see how your results vary against the average. It's just a mathematical equation. And just like that CHP, or just like the law of gravity, when I stop fighting it and just submit to the fact that this is a truth and I work with it, everything else just starts to fall into place. when I just realized that building my business and making $1 million a month is literally just a mathematical equation. If I take the equation and just go rinse and repeat, I make $1 million a year. You guys, I get the privilege of being in some really cool rooms with successful agents. And I will tell you, I'm going to take this off because it's a little warm. I have my map shirt. I don't have a naked goal today. Just breathe a little bit. Plus, as my wife is taking pictures of me, then I look like it's a different day.
We'll go that way.
Wardrobe change! Yeah, can everyone switch spots so that's a different...
Let's face that way.
Yeah.
We're freezing.
My coach, are you?
I'm cold.
My coach is on me. He's like, you know, I travel a lot and I speak a lot. By the way, I don't charge for this. I come here and do this because it inspires. Like, I love doing this. Now, I told Lisa, I'm like, look, I'm gonna be in Oahu. She's like, I'd love for you to teach. I'm like, I would be happy to teach. I'm like, here's what I need. My wife is with me. I need 2 plane tickets and a way to get back and forth from the airport. I don't need to make money, but I don't want it to cost me money either. Yeah. As long as I can get to your market center back, I will come teach for free. I'll spend the whole day with you and your leadership team. Like, I really will. You know, I love doing this. What's that?
Learn, do, teach is the road to mastery.
Yes. And you know what? I really believe that. Anything that we want to master, learn to teach it. Mm-hmm. Get yourself uncomfortable in teaching it. I used to be like really nervous to public speak and doing it. And you know, and people are like, oh, you're a natural. I'm like, well, maybe, but you still had to untap it, right? So what I was saying is my coach is on me. He's like, you don't document, you don't take pictures. I need B-roll, you know, of you coaching. He's like, I want those moments. Like yesterday, she grabbed one. I was doing this exercise and I had like these people all around me and I'm on the laptop walking them through how to do this Facebook thing, right? And these agents, and she like got some picture. And it's good for like marketing when they got the B-roll, not just like the headshot one, but you know, stuff like this. So, how are you?
Good.
All right. So is this starting to click? What I'm doing is I'm setting a foundation. We're going to be tying these things back with like, why? And we're going to come back and I'm like, remember when I said? So I'm making some points, I'm setting my foundation. So let's get into it. Life by design or life by default? Which one's good, which one's bad? Which one's right, which one's wrong? Life by design, life by default. What do you guys think there?
Design.
Yeah, I don't think it's either one. I think life by design, life by default, I don't think it's good or bad. I think it just is, right? But a lot like those pathways we were talking about, the little riverbeds, if we've got some habits, let's say, you know, I go to a lot of these transformational coaching events and these, you know, week-long immersion things and Anthony Robbins or this and that. I mean, I've done them all. And my wife's like, I'm good. Like, I don't need to go to that. And I'm like, but it's amazing. She's like, I really enjoy my life. Like, I am super happy with my life, with my family, with my marriage. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Let's not change anything. This works. You know, she likes me. Like, let's keep it that way. We don't need a transformation. She's happy, you know, she has great eating habits, she exercises, she loves her kid. I'm like, you're right. When things just work for you, don't change it, keep it. Now let's just say you have an illusion. You have a program that you've created for yourself, and that illusion is that you're an amazing person, and that you love people, and you're deserving of love, and that giving is the way to get, and you have these amazing, just absolute hallucinations about yourself, that you're beautiful, and that you're powerful, and all these things. Would they serve you well? I would say, yeah, they are. Go ahead and keep those ones. People are like, she's nuts. It's like, whatever, it works for her. It works. She's happy, she's owning it, she's a beautiful person on the inside and out. Like, keep that one, right? And yet, have you like ever met someone that like on the outside is very symmetrical and they should be beautiful, but they're just ugly? There's ugly people, right? And it's like, no, it's just an ugly person. And it's not about the outside, it's about what's on the inside. It's about their beliefs, or they're just oppressed or whatever, and they're mean to people. It's like they have this hurt and they keep trying to throw it on everybody. Those are the ones that we're trying to go, look, we got some defaults here. We got some habits around this, and they're not serving us well. That's when we're going to get with design. We're just going to interrupt that, and we're going to like create something new here. You know, it's like the movies where they do the montage makeover. And it's like, no, wait till we get older. We take you to the mall, we do your hair, we do all this stuff, and it's like, and she comes back to school, like, how is this the same woman? Remember those movies? You know, it's like, that's how our thinking just changes, like a whole makeover. You're this whole new person, and then makes you think differently about yourself, create a new story, and you have a whole new hallucination about yourself. You're no longer the nerdy, ugly girl that's not cool. You're now the coolest girl in school, and you're gonna be homecoming queen and all these things, right? It's just a way of thinking, but sometimes we have to interrupt it and create a design. So a life by design or life by default, when things are working for you, don't change it, keep it. If you like your life in this area, great. When we get in design is when we go, look, this area is not working. I need to design a new way. This riverbed is not working. I need to reroute some things here, right? And we're gonna get on purpose. But the conscious mind like that can't do very many things. Our brain is always looking to automate things and put it in the background. We only do about 2 or 3 things at a time. And that's why when we're creating a habit, we're really only identifying like one habit that we're gonna create for 66 days. Because we can't like learn 10 new things right now. Like I gotta do one thing and really just like learn that one. Once it's a habit, once it's a program, I can lock it in there and it'll stay there, and I don't have to like consciously think every day, today's the day I ride my bike. Like it's just in there, okay? So life by design, life to default, that's what we're looking at as we go through these habits, and you're looking and go, wow, I need to get more on purpose about designing some new habits around that. You're gonna write that one down and put a little asterisk next to it. By the end of the day, I'm hoping you have at least 10 ahas, and we'll teach you a little drill on how to create some implementation around it. All right. There we go. Habit number 1, successful agents start the day early.
This is Maui.
5 a.m. Yeah, that's a common misconception.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We can make lots of money and we can get up early. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It is well to be up before daybreak. For such habits contribute to health, wealth, and wisdom. There's all these studies that show just waking up early contributes to like more success. There's all these blogs and Instagram, pages that I follow that are like, 5 a.m. millionaire guy, whatever. There's just all these studies that say those who wake up early, I don't know what it is. It's just like a way that we're designed. It's really interesting. Aristotle said this. It's like it is well to be up before daybreak, for such habits contribute to health, wealth, and wisdom. Aristotle's a pretty smart guy. So early to rise. And here's a little exercise that I did. And it says if you get up 1 hour earlier each day, you would gain 15 days in your year. 15 days. Now imagine this for a second. What if it wasn't even about getting up 1 hour earlier, like losing, because my drunk monkey just said lose an hour of sleep. Did I say lose an hour of sleep? No.
Get up early.
I just said get up earlier. I said the math says when you get up earlier, you would gain 15 hours. Well, Rob, if I'm not losing an hour of sleep, how do I gain 15 hours? Because if I'm waking up later and staying up later, I don't gain anything. I'm just up earlier and going to sleep earlier. Well, what the study would say is that what we're going to talk about right now is gaining 1 hour of intentionality. If we were just intentional, because we got up earlier, we were able to be intentional for 1 additional hour per year. And in the 24 hours a day, what I'm going to tell you right now is that the most successful people in the world have learned that in those 24 hours, right, you're going to sleep for about 8 of them. In fact, there are studies that show that if getting 8 hours of sleep is powerful. It's actually the one thing that you can do that makes everything else easier. It's just like getting sleep, recharging. Okay. Now, at